All right, so our recipe that we are going to make is single serve chocolate chip cookies. This means every student does their own recipe. This is not a group, this is a single assignment. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We need our butter. First thing, our butter's right here. So we need 2 tablespoons. Butter, if you look along the side, is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 8 tablespoons and a stick of butter. We need 2, so we're gonna cut it to this point. So I have my paring knife and I'm going to cut at the 2 tablespoon mark. Okay, ideally your butter will have been sitting out for a while so it's nice and soft. I'm going to peel off the paper and I'm going to put it in my ingredient bowl. This is getting my mise en place ready. Okay, butter, check, off to the side. Next, I need 2 firmly packed tablespoons of dark brown sugar. There we go, tablespoon, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dip it in. We're going to firmly pack it. I'm gonna press it against the side. I'm gonna use my hands and I'm going to use my offset spatula. I'm going to level it off. Next, we need 1 tablespoon of white granulated sugar. That's what this is. So for this, we don't have to pack it in, but we do need to level it. So I'm gonna scoop my sugar. I'm gonna use this to help me. I'm gonna fill it to heaping, and then I'm going to level it off. So here's my sugar. I'm gonna add it in with the brown sugar because they all go in together in the recipe. Okay, sugar done. Next, we need a pinch of kosher salt. So when something calls for a pinch, it just depends on what you're making. This cookie, you want a little bit of salt because it accentuates the flavor. So when I say pinch, I mean like, I'd say about this much, like just a small pinch. I'm gonna add it in with my sugars. Okay, it brings out the vanilla, it brings out the sugar. So here are those ingredients off to the side, ready to go. Now we need 1/4 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So I have a little ingredient bowl here. I have my vanilla, and I'm going to use my measuring spoon. 1/4 teaspoon is a small amount. It's the smallest teaspoon that we have, 1/4 teaspoon. I'm gonna very carefully fill it to the top, pour it in. Now this stains, so be very careful. Try not to spill it anywhere. And it's also very expensive. We're gonna close that lid, put this off to the side, ready to go. Now we need 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So here's another bowl. Here's our baking soda. Same thing, we are going to fill it to heaping, as you can see inside the box here, and then we are going to level it off, okay? Go ahead and add this into my small bowl. We're ready to go. At this point, we want 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Here is my flour. It's labeled, that's how I know what it is. Okay, so as with flour, you have to spoon it. Here's my 1/4 cup measure. Okay, as usual, fill it to heaping, and then level it off. Okay, there's my accurate amount of flour. Let's go ahead and drop it into my bowl. Ready to go. And I need 3 tablespoons of chocolate chips. My chocolate chips are in this bag. I'm pouring them into this bowl just to make it easier to measure on myself, and I need 3 tablespoons. So here I have 1, 2, and 3. There's my chocolate chips for later. At this point, the only thing we have left is an egg. Now we need an egg yolk. The way that you get an egg yolk, that means we only want the yellow part, okay? So we get our egg and you wanna crack it on the table. If you crack it on the side of the bowl, it's more likely to shatter and the little pieces to go in there. So we want to crack it on the table. We want to very carefully you want to let the white drip out, trying not to break the egg yolk. Drop it into the other eggshell, let the egg white drip out. You're still letting that white drip out. Okay, so at this point, the white is in the bowl and I have my egg yolk in my little eggshell. I'm going to drop it in here. Okay, so now I have this. We do not need this. You're gonna save it for something else. So at this point, I have my mise en place ready. This is everything I need right here. So I need my mixing bowl. This is about a medium-sized mixing bowl. I need my rubber scraper here ready to go. I'm gonna put this right here, right in the middle. So according to the recipe, we need to preheat the oven to 350 and line a baking sheet with parchment paper. The oven has already been preheating. And I have my parchment paper. That's what this is. It's already lined, ready to go. It's off to the side waiting for me. Step 2 on the instructions says to blend the softened butter. That's what this is. I want to get every bit of it out of my bowl with my rubber scraper. Okay. Sugars. So in here, remember there's our dark brown sugar, there's our white sugar, and there's that little pinch of salt. So all of them are going into the bowl. Vanilla. That's what this is. Be sure and get every little bit out of there. At this point, we're going to stir it by hand. So you want to kind of use your rubber scraper and you want to cream together everything. You want to mix it until it's nice and smooth. This will take about, I'd say 30 seconds. At this point, I don't see any more chunks of butter. Everything is nice and smooth. Add in the egg yolk and stir again. So here's my egg yolk. Drop it right in. And stir again. Okay, egg yolk is in and nice and incorporated. It's all smooth. It says add in our baking soda. Okay. And our flour. And stir until combined. So at this point, starts off chunky and you want to continue stirring till it's all smooth. Using your rubber scraper to scrape the sides of the bowl. Get every bit of flour, everything out of there. Now you would not want to use a whisk here. That's because all of this batter would be stuck inside of the whisk and it would be really hard to use. So at this point, see my batter's nice and smooth. There's no flour or any ingredients left on the side, it's just my batter. So now you're going to take your chocolate chips, drop them in, and just fold your chocolate chips in. Will just take a couple of seconds. Using that rubber scraper. So now you just have a little dough ball of chocolate chip cookie dough. Now we're gonna divide this into 2 cookies. So we're gonna move this out of the way. Okay, so here's our baking sheet, our cookie sheet, and our dough. Now we're going to cut this into about 2 pieces. Try your best to make it equal. Okay, so I'm gonna take one of my, and then I'm gonna put the other piece to the other side. You wanna make sure and get every bit of the cookie dough out of your bowl. See, my bowl's pretty clean. There's very little left in there. I'm gonna get my offset spatula. These things come in handy. Okay, so I think at this point, this one is bigger than that one. So I'm gonna take a little bit of dough from here, add it to there, not a big deal. I'm trying to get every bit. All right, so at this point, we're going to use offset spatula to kind of flatten out the cookies. So you want to make it like a circle and just flatten them out. Okay, so at this point you have 2 pretty even cookies. Now they're going to go in the oven that's been preheating for about 11 minutes. If you like your cookies really crunchy, I'd say 12, maybe 13. If you like them super soft, I'd say maybe 10. But to me, 11 is the perfect amount. We're going to drop them in the oven at this point. All right, timer's going off. I'm going to turn the timer off using your oven mitt. Remember, stand away. Did you see the steam come out? It's pretty hot. Now that the timer's up, you can go ahead and grab the cookies. Okay guys, never put your hot pan on directly into the counter. You want to put it onto the stove. So there's your cookies, guys. You have to let them sit for at least 5 minutes. At this point, 1, they are really hot. They are really soft when they come out of the oven. They aren't hard, like look how soft they are. They bend, they fold, see? They're not ready. Let them sit for 5 minutes, set a timer. All right, the timer's going off. I'm gonna turn my timer off. All right, so here's my cookies. They've been sitting for a little bit. At this point, they're a little bit more stiff. They are still really soft. So what I had to do in order to lift this up, so at this point they're kind of stuck to the parchment paper. You use your offset spatula and kind of like wiggle it underneath. And you could also use a turner, but I don't like to dirty extra dishes. The offset spatula looks fine. So at this point, they're ready to go. See, after just 5 minutes, like you can actually move them. They look like a cookie, right? They are pretty big. It's about the size of my hand. They are soft in the middle. So my cookies are pretty soft, right? I like them like this. If you want yours a little bit more crunchy, because see how soft they are right now, you would want to leave the cookie in, I'd say 12, maybe 13 minutes, but I like them like this. They will get harder as you let them sit. Let them sit another 5 minutes, and they'll get a little bit harder. To me, that's perfect.